The trading station smelled like oil and recycled air. Captain Elena Reeves walked through the crowded corridors, her boots making soft sounds on the metal floor. She had been traveling through space for 15 years now, carrying cargo from one planet to another. It was a lonely life, but it was hers. Her ship needed repairs. The engine had been making strange noises for 3 days, and she could not ignore it anymore. The station was small, sitting at the edge of Empire space where few people came. Perfect for cheap repairs and no questions. Elena handed her credit chip to the mechanic, a 4-armed Zenthari with blue skin. 2 days, the mechanic said in the common tongue. Maybe 3. She nodded and walked away. 2 days meant she needed to find a place to sleep and something to eat. The station had 1 small hotel and 3 food vendors. Not much, but enough. As she walked past the waste disposal area, she heard a sound. It was soft, like a whimper. Elena stopped. She had always been curious, sometimes too curious. Her ex-husband used to say it would get her killed one day. The sound came again. Elena walked toward the large waste containers. The smell was terrible, making her cover her nose. Between 2 containers, she saw something move. Something small and dark. She moved closer and looked down. A creature lay there, barely breathing. It was covered in black fur with silver markings. Blood stained its side. The creature was small, maybe the size of a large dog, but Elena could see the sharp claws and teeth. A predator. Even dying, it was clearly a predator. Oh no, Elena whispered. She had seen pictures of these creatures before. Krithax. They were one of the most feared species in the Empire. Adults grew to be 3 meters tall, with strength that could break steel. They were hunters, killers. Most stations did not allow them at all. But this was not an adult. This was a baby. The cub's eyes opened slightly. They were golden, like Earth's sun. The cub looked at Elena and made a small sound, then closed its eyes again. Elena's heart broke. She knew that feeling. The feeling of being alone, of being left behind to die. She had felt it herself when her daughter Emma died 5 years ago. Cancer. The doctors tried everything, but nothing worked. Elena was holding Emma's hand when she took her last breath. After that, Elena could not stay on Earth anymore. Too many memories. Too much pain. She looked at the cub again. Someone had left it here to die. Someone had thrown it away like garbage. I need to find help, Elena said to herself. She ran back into the station, looking for medical supplies or a veterinarian. She found a medical booth run by a Vexian, a species that looked like tall, thin birds. Please, I need help, Elena said quickly. There's an injured animal near the waste disposal. The Vexian's feathers fluffed up in surprise. What kind of animal? A Krithax cub. The Vexian stepped back. You should not touch it. Krithax are dangerous. The cub was probably put there by its own family. They kill the weak ones. It is their way. It's dying, Elena said. Then let it die, the Vexian replied. Station law says any abandoned predator must be euthanized. Too dangerous. I will call security. Elena felt anger rise in her chest. You're going to kill a baby because it might be dangerous? It is the law. Humans may be comfortable with predators, but the rest of us are not. The Krithax especially. They are not like earth wolves or cats. They are weapons. Elena did not wait to hear more. She ran back to the waste area, her mind racing. She could not let them kill the cub. She knew it was crazy. She knew everyone would think she lost her mind. But she could not walk away. When she reached the cub, she carefully lifted it. The creature was heavier than it looked and warm. It did not fight or bite. It only made a small sound, almost like a purr. I've got you, Elena whispered. You're safe now. She carried the cub back to her ship, moving quickly through the back corridors where fewer people walked. Some aliens saw her and their eyes went wide. A few made sounds of alarm. But Elena kept moving. Inside her ship, she laid the cub on her bed and grabbed her emergency medical kit. She was not a doctor, but she had learned basic first aid during her years in space. She cleaned the wounds carefully. The cub had been beaten. Someone had hurt it badly before throwing it away. As she worked, station security arrived at her ship's door. 3 guards stood outside, weapons ready. Captain Reeves, the lead guard said. He was a Torvak, large and covered in rocky skin. We received reports you have a Krithax cub. This is against station regulations. Elena stood in the doorway, blocking their view. I am claiming the cub under Human Custody Law, Section 47. The guards looked at each other. That law is for abandoned children of registered species, the Torvak said. It applies to any abandoned juvenile life form that is not considered sentient property, Elena replied. She had looked up the law on her datapad while treating the cub. The Krithax are sentient. The cub was abandoned, therefore I can claim custody. The guards did not look happy. The cub is dangerous. The cub is dying, Elena said firmly, and I am taking responsibility. If there is a problem, contact the human embassy. Until then, this is my ship and that is my dependent. The Torvak guard stared at her for a long moment. Finally, he spoke into his communicator. There was a long conversation Elena could not hear. Then he looked at her again. You have 24 hours to leave this station, he said. And Captain, everyone will know about this. You will not be welcome at many places. I understand, Elena said. The guards left. Elena closed the door and went back to the cub. She finished bandaging the wounds and gave it water through a dropper. The cub drank a little, then fell asleep. Elena sat on the floor next to her bed watching the small creature breathe. What had she done? She had no idea how to raise a Krithax. She did not know what they ate or how to care for them. Everyone would fear her now. Many stations would refuse to let her dock. But when she looked at the cub, sleeping peacefully for the first time in who knows how long, she felt something she had not felt in 5 years. Purpose. You need a name, she whispered. The cub's fur was dark like ash from a fire. Ash, I'll call you Ash because you're rising from what they threw away. The cub's ear twitched as if it hurt her. Elena smiled. It was small and sad, but it was real. We'll figure this out together, she promised. You and me against the galaxy. Outside, the station buzzed with news. A human had adopted a Krithax cub. The story spread quickly through the communication networks. Some thought it was insane. Others thought it was typical human behavior. Humans, after all, were known for bonding with anything. But no one knew yet what this moment would mean. No one could see the future that Elena and Ash would create together. They only saw a foolish human and a monster cub. They would all learn differently. The first 3 months were the hardest. Ash was sick and weak, and Elena was terrified every day that he would die. She spent hours researching Krithax biology on the Galactic Network. Most information was about how to fight them or avoid them. Very little was about how to care for them. She learned that Krithax cubs needed protein, lots of it. She bought synthetic meat at stations, expensive stuff that made her credit account shrink fast. But Ash needed to eat, so Elena went without new clothes or good food for herself. Slowly, Ash got stronger. He started walking around the ship, exploring every corner with curious golden eyes. He was playful, chasing after small toys Elena made from spare parts. Sometimes he would pounce on her feet while she worked, and she would laugh. It felt good to laugh again, but not everyone was happy about Elena and Ash. At the third station they visited, the dockmaster refused to let them leave the ship. I cannot allow a Krithax on my station, he said over the communicator. My people are afraid. He's just a baby, Elena argued. He's not dangerous. Not yet, the dockmaster replied. But he will be. I have families here, Captain. Children, I cannot risk it. Elena had to buy supplies from vendors who delivered to her ship. They charged her double the normal price. She paid it. She had no choice. At another station, a group of protesters stood outside her docking bay. They held signs with messages like "Predators don't belong here" and "Humans are crazy." One person threw something at her ship. It splashed red paint across the hull. Ash watched from the window, his ears flat against his head. Why do they hate me? He asked. Elena's heart almost stopped. Ash had started talking 3 months ago, his voice rough but clear. Krithax learned language quickly, faster than human children. But hearing him ask that question hurt worse than any protest. She knelt down next to him. They're afraid, she said gently. They don't know you like I do. They only see what you might become, not who you are. What might I become? Ash asked. Elena thought carefully before answering. Something strong, something powerful. But Ash, strength and power are not bad things. It's what you do with them that matters. Ash looked at his paws, at his growing claws. I don't want to hurt anyone. Then you won't, Elena said firmly. You get to choose who you are. Not them, not even your own species. You choose. The months became years. Ash grew quickly, much faster than Elena expected. By his 2nd birthday, he was already as tall as Elena's shoulder. His muscles were developing, and his claws could cut through metal if he was not careful. He learned to control his strength, to be gentle despite his size. Elena taught him to read and write. She showed him Earth movies and music. She told him stories about her daughter Emma, about the little girl who loved butterflies and chocolate ice cream. Ash listened quietly, understanding that Elena trusted him with her most precious memories. "Emma would have liked you," Elena said one night. "I wish I could have met her," Ash replied. They traveled together, carrying cargo across the Empire. Elena's reputation changed. Some people called her the Predator's human. Others called her brave or insane. A few called her kind. Other captains started asking her questions. "How do you control it?" They wanted to know. "I don't control him," Elena always answered. "He's not a pet or a weapon. He's family." When Ash was 3 years old, everything changed. Pirates attacked their ship near the Outer Rim. 3 vessels surrounded them, demanding Elena surrender her cargo. It was valuable medical supplies heading to a colony that needed it desperately. "Give us the cargo, and we let you live," the pirate captain said over the communication system. Elena looked at Ash. He was standing near her, his body tense. She could see his instincts taking over. His eyes were focused, his claws extended. "Stay here," Elena told him. "Let me handle this." But the pirates did not wait. They started cutting through the ship's hull, forcing their way inside. Elena grabbed a weapon, ready to defend her ship. The first pirate came through the breach. He was a large Grelton, with 4 arms and thick armor. He raised his weapon at Elena. Ash moved faster than Elena could see. One moment he was behind her, the next he was on the pirate. The Grelton did not stand a chance. Ash was all claws and teeth and fury. He fought like the predator he was born to be. The other pirates came through. There were 5 of them. Ash fought them all. It was brutal and quick. Within minutes, the pirates were running back to their ships, terrified. One was unconscious on the floor. Another was wounded but alive. The pirate ships fled, leaving Elena and Ash alone in the damaged cargo bay. Elena looked at Ash. He was standing there, breathing hard, covered in blood. His eyes were still wild, still full of that predator rage. Then he looked at her and the rage disappeared. It was replaced by fear. "Elena, Ash's voice shook. "I hurt them. I wanted to hurt them. I wanted to—" He stepped back from her, his whole body trembling. "You're going to leave me now, like my family did, because I'm a monster." Elena felt tears in her eyes. She walked toward Ash, not away from him. She put her hand on his chest, feeling his rapid heartbeat. "You protected me," she said firmly. "You protected our cargo that sick people need. You did not kill anyone. You could have, but you didn't. Do you know what that means?" Ash shook his head. "It means you're not a monster," Elena said. "Monsters don't hold back. Monsters don't care about right and wrong. You felt your instincts and you controlled them. That makes you stronger than any Krythax who just follows their nature." "But I scared you," Ash whispered. "You didn't scare me," Elena said. "I was scared for you. I was scared you would hurt yourself trying to protect me. Ash, you're my son, my family. Nothing changes that. Not your claws, not your instincts, nothing." Ash made a sound between a sob and a growl. He lowered his head until it touched Elena's shoulder. She hugged him, her arms barely reaching around his growing body. "Thank you," Ash said quietly, "for not leaving me." "Never," Elena promised. "We're family. That's what we do. We stay." The news of the pirate attack spread quickly. People heard that a Krythax had fought off 5 pirates to protect his human. Some said it proved Krythax were dangerous, but others said something different. A reporter contacted Elena for an interview. "Captain Reeves, people want to know why you adopted a Krythax. What made you do it?" Elena looked at Ash, who was sitting next to her, listening carefully. "Because he needed someone," Elena said simply. "And maybe I needed him too. Everyone deserves a family. Everyone deserves someone who will stay no matter what." The interview went viral across the Empire's network. Millions watched it. Some laughed. Some criticized. But some watched and thought about the abandoned cubs of their own species, the outcasts they ignored. 3 weeks after the interview, Elena found something at a station docking bay. A small container with holes punched in the side. Inside was another Krythax cub, older than Ash had been, but still young, still abandoned. There was a note. "Maybe you can save this one too." Elena picked up the cub. Ash looked at her with questioning eyes. "We're going to need a bigger ship," Elena said. Ash's mouth opened in what might have been a smile. Family gets bigger sometimes. Yes, Elena said. It does. The story of the human and the Krythax was becoming a legend. But for Elena and Ash, it was just their life. They were family, and that was all that mattered. 15 years had passed since Elena found Ash in that waste disposal area. He was now fully grown, standing 3 meters tall with muscles like steel cables. His black fur with silver markings shone in the ship's lights. He looked exactly like what people feared, a perfect predator. But Elena knew better. She knew the person inside the fearsome body. The person who liked reading ancient earth poetry. The person who cried when they had to put down a sick animal they could not save. The person who called her mom even though they shared no blood. Their sanctuary had grown too. The ship was much bigger now, modified to hold 20 rescued cubs of different predator species. Not just Krythax, but others. Vexhorn cubs with venomous spines. Krell younglings with razor-sharp teeth. Any predator species that was abandoned or unwanted found a home with Elena and Ash. Elena was older now. Her hair was gray and her joints hurt on cold mornings. But she still worked every day, teaching the cubs, feeding them, showing them they were worthy of love. Then the message came. It was from the Krythax Dominion, the government of Ash's species. Elena had known this day might come. She read the message on her console, her heart sinking with each word. They want you back, Elena told Ash. He was sitting in the common area, helping a young Krythax cub learn to read. He looked up at Elena, his golden eyes full of concern. What do you mean? The Dominion says you were stolen from them. They say I corrupted you, made you weak. They want you returned to face judgment for bringing shame to their species. The young cub looked scared. Ash put a gentle paw on the cub's shoulder. It's okay, little one. Go play with the others. After the cub left, Ash stood to his full height. I'm not going back. That place was never my home. It might not be our choice, Elena said. They filed a legal claim with the Empire Council. There's going to be a tribunal. The tribunal was held on Centra Station, the Empire's capital. Elena and Ash traveled there with a lawyer, a human woman named Sandra Chen who specialized in interspecies family law. This is going to be difficult, Sandra warned them. The Dominion has powerful allies. Many species still fear predators. They will use that fear. The tribunal chamber was enormous. Hundreds of representatives from different species sat in circular rows, all watching as Elena and Ash entered. Elena felt their stares, heard their whispers. The Krythax Dominion sent 3 representatives. The lead was a massive male named Craster, his fur pure black without any markings. He looked at Ash with disgust. That creature was born weak, Craster said to the tribunal. Under our law, the weak are left to die so they do not pollute our bloodlines. This human interfered with our sacred tradition. Sacred tradition? Sandra stood up. You mean abandoning children to die alone? We are predators, Craster replied. Only the strong deserve to live. It is natural law. There is nothing natural about cruelty, Sandra said. The tribunal judges listened to both sides. They heard Craster describe how Ash had been born small and weak, how he cried too much, how he showed mercy to prey animals even as a newborn. All signs of defect, Craster claimed. Then it was Ash's turn to speak. Elena squeezed his paw as he stood up. She saw fear in his eyes, but also determination. Ash walked to the center of the chamber. He looked at all the representatives, at all the species that feared him. I was 3 days old when my birth family threw me away, Ash began. His voice was deep and clear. I was dying. I was alone. I was so small and weak that I could not even cry for help anymore. The chamber was completely silent. Elena Reeves found me in the garbage, Ash continued. She did not know me. She had no reason to help me. Her species and mine had no relationship. But she looked at me and saw someone worth saving. She saw a child who needed help. Ash turned to face Craster. You say I am weak because I show mercy, because I choose when to fight instead of fighting everything, because I care about others. But I ask you, what is strength? Is it only violence? Is it only domination? Yes, Craster said simply. That is what makes us Krythax. That is what makes us superior. Then I don't want to be Krythax, Ash said firmly. If strength means throwing away your own children, if superiority means having no compassion, then I choose weakness. I choose Elena's way. A murmur went through the chamber. Some sounded approving. Others sounded shocked. Ash continued. I am stronger now than any Krythax in the Dominion. I can fight. I can hunt. I can do everything you claim makes a superior predator. But Elena taught me something more important. She taught me to choose. To think, to care. That is real strength. You are corrupt, Krastor growled. Infected with human weakness. If love is weakness, then yes, Ash said. I am weak, and I am proud of it. Elena felt tears running down her face. Sandra was smiling. The tribunal judges deliberated for 3 hours. When they returned, the lead judge, a wise old Zenthari, spoke. This tribunal has reviewed all evidence and arguments. We must decide between cultural tradition and individual rights, between species law and personal choice. The chamber held its breath. We rule in favor of Elena Reeves and Ash, the judge said. A sentient being has the right to choose their own family. A child abandoned and left to die becomes free of their birth culture's claims. Ash was legally adopted under human law, and that adoption is valid. Elena grabbed Ash's paw. He was shaking. Furthermore, the judge continued, this tribunal finds the practice of abandoning cubs to die to be incompatible with Empire law regarding the treatment of children. The Krythax Dominion must reform this practice or face sanctions. Krastor stood up, furious. This is an insult. The Empire has no right to dictate our traditions. The Empire has every right to protect children within its borders, the judge replied firmly. This tribunal is dismissed. Krastor looked at Ash one more time. You are no longer Krythax. You are nothing. I am something better, Ash replied. I am someone who loves and is loved in return. The Krythax Dominion representatives stormed out. The Dominion severed some diplomatic ties with the human worlds in protest, but the ruling stood. As Elena and Ash left the tribunal chamber, reporters surrounded them. Questions came from everywhere. Captain Reeves, what do you say to those who call you reckless? Ash, do you have a message for other abandoned cubs? Elena looked at Ash. He nodded. We're going home, Elena told the reporters. And if any species has cubs they plan to abandon, leave them at a human station. We'll take care of them. The statement caused chaos. Some species were offended. But something else happened too. Over the next month, 12 more predator cubs appeared at various human stations. All abandoned. All left with simple notes asking for help. Elena's sanctuary grew. Other humans started their own sanctuaries. A movement began, small but growing, to protect and raise predator species cubs who were cast out by their own kind. The Krythax Dominion denounced it all. But quietly, some Krythax began to question their traditions. If the weakest cub could become so strong, so intelligent, so respected, what did that say about their practice of abandonment? Elena sat in her ship's common room one evening, surrounded by 24 cubs of various species. Ash was teaching a class on mathematics. Another older cub was reading a story to the younger ones. It was chaos and noise and joy. Sandra Chen had stayed in contact. She called Elena one evening with news. 3 Krythax families have requested asylum on human worlds, Sandra said. They don't want to abandon their cubs. They're willing to leave the Dominion to keep their children. Elena smiled. Tell them they're welcome. You started something, Elena, Sandra said. Something bigger than you know. I just saved 1 cub, Elena replied. Yes, Sandra said, and that 1 cub changed everything. 30 years had passed since Elena found Ash. She was 72 years old now, her body tired but her spirit still strong. Ash was in his prime, a respected figure in the Empire. Their sanctuary had saved over 300 cubs, many of whom were now adults themselves, living productive lives across the galaxy. Then the Devourers came. They arrived from beyond the galaxy, a hive-mind species that consumed everything in their path. They did not want territory or resources. They wanted only to feed. Entire planets were stripped clean, all life absorbed into the Devourer collective consciousness. The Empire's military forces fought bravely. The herbivorous and omnivorous species had brilliant strategists, advanced technology, and powerful fleets. But something was missing. They fought defensively, always retreating, always trying to minimize losses. They think like prey, Ash observed, watching the battle reports with Elena. They're trying to survive, not win. Elena understood. The Empire species were not cowards, but millions of years of evolution shaped how they thought. They avoided conflict when possible. They sought diplomatic solutions. They valued every single life, These were good things. But against an enemy that could not be reasoned with, that felt no fear, that kept coming no matter how many died. The Empire was losing. The Council held an emergency session. Representatives from hundreds of worlds gathered to discuss options. Elena and Ash attended because human worlds had requested their input. "We need the Krithax Dominion," one counselor said. "They are warriors, predators. They know how to fight." "The Dominion refused our request," another replied. "They will only help if we recognize their cultural laws and give them control of 3 sectors as payment." The chamber erupted in argument. Some wanted to pay the price. Others refused to reward the Dominion's cruelty. Elena stood up. Her voice was old, but it still carried strength. "There's another option." The chamber quieted. Everyone knew who she was. The human who adopted a Krithax. The woman who started the sanctuary movement. "The cubs we saved are adults now," Elena said. "Many were trained in combat, not because we wanted them to fight, but because they needed to understand their own bodies, their own abilities. They're soldiers without a war. Until now. You want to use the outcasts?" a counselor asked, sounding horrified. "The abandoned ones." "I want to ask them if they'll volunteer," Elena corrected. "They know what it means to be protected, to be saved, to be given a chance. Maybe they want to give others that same chance." Ash stood beside Elena. "She's right. Let us help. Let the Forsaken fight." The council debated for hours. Finally, they agreed. It was not a perfect solution, but they were desperate. Elena and Ash sent messages to every cub they had ever saved. Within a week, over 200 adult predators from dozens of species arrived at the sanctuary. Some had families now. Some had careers. But they all came when called. They gathered in a massive hangar that the human government had provided. Elena looked at them all. These creatures that the galaxy had thrown away. "I did not save you so you could die in a war," Elena said. "I saved you so you could live. So if any of you want to leave, do it now. No judgment. No shame. No one left." "We fight because we choose to," said Kira, a female Krithax who had been one of the first cubs after Ash. "You gave us choice. Now we choose to protect others." Ash stepped forward. "Then we are the Forsaken Legion." Those who were cast out but refused to be forgotten. The name stuck. The Forsaken Legion trained together for 2 weeks. They combined their predatory instincts with human military tactics. Elena helped plan strategies using her years of experience navigating dangerous space. Their first battle was at the colony world of Varen 3. The Devourers had landed and were consuming everything. The Empire forces were barely holding the evacuation zones. The Forsaken Legion dropped from orbit in small assault ships. They hit the Devourer forces like a hammer. Where the Empire soldiers hesitated, trying to save every life, the Legion struck without mercy. They were predators fighting a swarm, and they knew how to hunt. Ash led the charge, his black and silver fur stained with combat. He fought like the Krithax warrior he was born to be, but with human strategy guiding every move. The Legion followed his lead, each predator using their natural abilities combined with tactical thinking. The battle lasted 6 hours. When it ended, Varen 3 was saved. Every civilian had been evacuated. The Devourers were driven back. News spread across the Empire. The Forsaken Legion had done what entire fleets could not. They had beaten the Devourers in ground combat. More battles followed. The Legion fought on 12 worlds over 8 months. They lost fighters, each death hitting Elena like a knife to the heart. But they won more than they lost. They saved millions of lives. The Krithax Dominion heard about the Legion's success. Craster, older now but still powerful, sent a message demanding that all Krithax in the Legion return to the Dominion to fight properly under their command. Every single Krithax refused. On the battlefield of Keltor 9, Ash faced an army of Devourer warriors. The fight was desperate. His Legion was outnumbered 5-1. Then suddenly another group of Krithax arrived. But these wore the markings of the Dominion military. Leading them was an older Krithax warrior with battle scars and tired eyes. He approached Ash as the battle paused. "I am Vextor," the warrior said. "Your birth father." Ash stared at the Krithax who had thrown him away as a cub. 30 years of questions rose in his throat. "Why? How could you? Did you ever wonder?" "I came to see if the rumors were true," Vextor continued. "They say you are the greatest warrior in the Empire. They say you lead armies. They say you are strong beyond measure. Why do you care? Ash asked. Because I threw away my son, Vextor said quietly. I followed our laws. I did what was expected, and now I see what I lost. What we all lost by following tradition without thought. The Devourers attacked again before Ash could respond. He fought beside his birth father, two Krythax warriors moving in sync. Vextor was skilled, brutal, efficient, but Ash was better. He was stronger and smarter. When the battle ended, Vextor was wounded. Ash stood over him, capable of ending it. Proving he was the stronger one, instead Ash helped his father up. Strength is not just about victory, Ash said. It's about choosing mercy when you have the power to destroy. Elena taught me that. Go back to the Dominion. Tell them what you saw. Vextor looked at his son with something like awe. I'm sorry. For what I did. For what we do. I know, Ash said. Change your laws. Save your cubs. That would mean more than any apology. The war continued for another year. The Forsaken Legion became legendary. Songs were written about them. Children across the Empire played games pretending to be Legion fighters. But Elena was getting weaker. She did not complain, but Ash saw it. The long years and constant stress were taking their toll. During the final major battle, defending the industrial world of Forge Prime, Elena insisted on commanding the tactical center. She coordinated 3 Legion groups and 2 Empire fleets. A Devourer strike team broke through. They reached the command center. Ash was on the other side of the planet, too far to help. Elena grabbed a weapon. She was an old woman, tired and slow. But she stood between the Devourers and a room full of young soldiers who looked to her for guidance. She fought. For precious minutes she held them back, giving the young soldiers time to evacuate. By the time Ash arrived, the Devourers were dead, but Elena was on the ground, badly wounded. Mom, Ash said, cradling her carefully in his massive paws. Stay with me, please. Elena smiled up at him. Blood stained her gray hair. I'm proud of you, so proud. You became everything I hoped. Everything Emma would have loved. Don't leave me, Ash begged. I can't do this without you. Yes, you can, Elena whispered. You're not the scared cub anymore. You're the one who saves cubs now. Promise me you'll keep doing it. Keep showing them love. I promise, Ash said, tears falling onto her face. Good boy, Elena said softly. Then she closed her eyes and was gone. Ash held her body and roared. It was a sound of pure grief, so loud that the entire base heard it. The sound of a son losing his mother. The sound of a predator losing the one person who taught him to be more. 3 weeks later, the Devourers were defeated. The combined forces of the Empire and the Legion had won. But the victory felt hollow to Ash. He had saved the galaxy, but he had lost everything that mattered. 50 years after the war ended, a group of young students arrived at the Memorial Park on Earth. They came from 15 different species, all children between 8 and 12 years old. Their teacher, a patient Vexian with gray feathers, led them toward the largest monument in the park. The statue was enormous, carved from white marble that shone in the afternoon sun. It showed a human woman standing beside a massive Krythax. The woman had one hand resting on the Krythax's shoulder. Both of them were looking forward, as if watching the future together. Words were carved into the base in 47 languages. Love is stronger than fear. Who are they? A small Zenthari child asked. That, said a deep voice from behind them, is a very long story. The students turned. An elderly Krythax stood there, leaning on a walking staff. His black fur was now streaked with silver and white. His golden eyes were kind but held the weight of many years. He moved slowly, his powerful body showing signs of age. Elder Ash, the teacher said with surprise. We did not know you would be here today. I come every year, Ash said simply. Today is special. It is the anniversary. The students stared at him with wide eyes. Everyone in the Empire knew Elder Ash. He was a hero from the war, a diplomat and ambassador for peace. He ran the largest sanctuary for abandoned predator cubs in the galaxy. Please, the teacher said. Would you tell them the story? Ash looked at the statue of Elena for a long moment. Then he nodded and sat down on a bench. The students gathered around him, sitting on the grass. 80 years ago, Ash began, I was dying in a garbage container on a forgotten station. I was 3 days old. My family had thrown me away because I was weak. Too small, too gentle, not a proper Krythax warrior. The students listened quietly. They had heard versions of this story before, but hearing it from Ash himself was different. A human found me. Her name was Elena Reeves. She had no reason to help me. I was the child of a species most people feared. I would grow up to be dangerous. But she looked at me and saw someone who needed saving. Ash pointed to the statue. That woman changed my life. She fed me when I was hungry. She held me when I had nightmares. She taught me to read and write and think. She showed me that being strong did not mean being cruel. But you became a great warrior, a young Krell child said. Everyone knows you fought in the war. Yes, Ash said. I fought. I was very good at fighting. But that is not what made me strong. Helena taught me that real strength is choosing kindness when you have the power to be cruel. Real strength is protecting those who cannot protect themselves. A human girl raised her hand. My grandfather said you saved his life during the war. He was a soldier at Forge Prime. Ash smiled sadly. Elena saved him, not me. She commanded the defense that day. She stood between the Devourers and hundreds of young soldiers. She gave her life so they could escape. His voice became quiet. I held her as she died. She made me promise to keep saving cubs, to keep teaching them about love and family. I have kept that promise for 50 years. What happened after the war? Another student asked. Many things changed, Ash said. The Krithax Dominion fell apart. My birth father, Vextor, led a revolution. They created new laws. Now Krithax cubs are protected. The weak are helped, not abandoned. It took years, but they finally understood what Elena tried to show them. Ash stood up slowly and walked to the statue. He placed his paw on the carved representation of Elena's hand. Other species changed too. The Vexhorns stopped their culling practices. The Krell ended their tradition of casting out small younglings. Across the Empire, hundreds of species looked at their old ways and asked themselves, are we throwing away something precious? Because of you and Elena, the teacher said. Because of one act of kindness, Ash corrected. Elena did not set out to change the galaxy. She just wanted to save one dying cub. But kindness spreads. Love spreads. One person showing compassion can inspire millions. The students were quiet for a moment. Then the Zinthari child asked, do cubs still get abandoned? Sometimes, Ash admitted. Old habits die hard. Some species still follow harmful traditions. But now there are places for those cubs to go. Sanctuaries like the one I run. Other species have learned from humans. They take in the abandoned ones. They give them families. Ash looked at the students. Some of you are here because of sanctuaries. I can see it in your eyes. You know what it is to be different, to be feared, to be judged before anyone knows you. Several students nodded. A young Krithax cub, smaller than most, raised her paw. I was abandoned, she said quietly. Last year. I thought I would die. But you did not, Ash said gently. Someone saved you. A human family, the cub said. They named me Silver because of my fur. They say I am perfect exactly as I am. Ash felt his eyes water. After all these years, it still touched him. Elena would have loved to meet you, Silver. She would have been so happy to know that what she started continues. The teacher checked her data pad. Elder Ash, if I may ask, what do you do now? Besides running the sanctuary? I tell stories, Ash said. I travel to schools and speak to young people. I want them to understand that being different is not wrong. That strength comes in many forms, that every life has value. He looked back at Elena's statue. I also come here once a year on this day. The day she died. I bring her flowers, a human custom. I talk to her. I tell her about all the cubs we saved, all the lives that are better because she chose kindness. Do you think she hears you? A small voice asked. Ash smiled. I like to think she does. Or maybe I just need to say it out loud, to remember why I keep going. The teacher started gathering the students. Thank you, Elder Ash. This has been an honor. As the group began to leave, Silver hung back. She approached Ash shyly. Elder Ash, she said, my family says I can choose my future. I want to work at a sanctuary when I grow up. I want to help cubs like me. Ash knelt down so he was eye level with her. That is a wonderful dream. The galaxy needs more people like you. People who understand pain and choose to ease it for others. Was it hard? Silver asked. Growing up different? Very hard, Ash said honestly. There were days I wanted to give up. Days I believed what others said about me. But Elena never stopped believing in me, and eventually I learned to believe in myself. I will remember that, Silver said. She hesitated, then hugged Ash quickly before running to catch up with her class. Ash stood alone at the memorial. The sun was setting, painting the sky in shades of orange and purple. He reached into his bag and pulled out fresh flowers, real ones grown in earth soil. He placed them at the base of the statue. "Hello, Mom," he said quietly. 50 years today. Sometimes it feels like yesterday. Sometimes it feels like a lifetime ago." He sat on the bench again. The sanctuary has 234 cubs right now. 3 are Krythax, including one that was left at our door last week with a note. The note said, "I cannot keep her, but I want her to live. Please give her what I cannot." We named her Hope. Ash smiled. The Dominion sent an official apology this year. Fextor died last month. He spent his last years reforming Krythax culture. His final message to me said, "Tell Elena I finally understood." I wish you could have heard that. A small sound made Ash look up. At the edge of the park, he saw someone had left a container. It had holes punched in the side. Ash's heart skipped. He walked over quickly and opened it carefully. Inside was a tiny cub, species he did not immediately recognize. The cub was barely breathing, covered in dirt and scars. Another note, "Please, you are the only hope." Ash picked up the cub gently. It was so small, so fragile, just like he had been 80 years ago. "It's okay," Ash whispered to the cub. "You're safe now. I've got you." The cub's eyes opened slightly. They were dark blue, like Earth's ocean. The cub made a small sound. Ash carried the cub back to the memorial. He stood before Elena's statue with the dying cub in his arms. "Look, Mom," he said, tears running down his face. "Another one. Another chance to do what you taught me, to show that love is stronger than fear. That family is not about blood. That everyone deserves someone who will stay." The cub nestled against Ash's chest, finally feeling safe. "I promise," Ash said to both Elena and the cub, "I will give you what was given to me. A home, a family, a chance to be yourself without fear. That is Elena's legacy. That is what she taught me, and I will teach you." He looked at the statue one more time. "Thank you, Mom, for everything. For seeing past the monster everyone else saw. For teaching me that strength and kindness can exist together. For showing me that one act of love can change the galaxy." Ash turned and walked toward his ship, the new cub held safely in his arms. Behind him, the memorial stood in the fading light, the statue of a human woman and a Krythax warrior, together forever in stone. Across the Empire, in 1,000 homes and schools, parents were putting their children to bed. Many species, many languages, many worlds, but the story they told was the same. They told their children about the human who found a dying predator cub and chose love over fear. They told them about the cub who grew up to save the galaxy. They told them that being different is not wrong, that being kind is not weak, that every life has value. They whispered the story of Elena and Ash,